what we're going to talk about today is, now I just have to say, excuse me if my voice wavers a little bit, if I am a teacher, I would describe myself as, so the character in my story, I would say, I am a mom. I thank my two beautiful children for being here with me. They're teenagers. They could be any place, and they chose to be here, so thank you. I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a daughter. I am a sister. I am an artist. I'm a teacher. From my perspective, that's what I'm going to say. Other people could say different things. But in that, I really believe that the words that we use to both to ourselves and to others really create our lives. So I know that it's not all about unicorns and butterflies, and my kids always say that to me, "You're such a hippie, Mom." Like, it's not all this perfect world, and I know that. But I think what it really boils down to is that if you think crap, you get crap. It just kind of goes that way. Whereas if you think more positively, even when the crap hits you, you're like, okay, so how am I going to get to the next step and make this a better situation? So we kind of like write our own story. So expression, the definition of it. It's a noun. It's an indication, a feeling, a spirit, a character, as on the face, in the voice, or in artistic expression. It's the power of expressing in words. Hollis's definition is expression is our voice. It is the way that we present ourselves to the world in both words, actions, and the physical objects that we create. So, a question for the group, and then this is going to be a combination of a little bit of story about me, and then also some I've been teaching for 29 years, and I've taught in lots of different scenarios: urban, suburban, general education, special education, classroom settings, homeless shelters. It's been a lot of different settings, and I'm very, very grateful for all of that. So how many people, and it's going to be a raise of hands, how many people have been told that they're not good at something? Either somebody straight up looked at you and said, "You suck at this," or as a joke, they're like, "You're really not good at that," but they've said it so many times that it just became really ingrained. So, okay, so my little story on that is 2nd grade. My teacher told me to marry a rich man because I couldn't count money. So I was like 7 then. I'm 51. I'm still holding on to that. It's time to let that shit go. It's like ridiculous. So yeah, my parents thought it was funny. I just, I was 7. Just whatever. I married for love. Okay, so the second question. How many people here have been told that maybe they colored something in the wrong color? Like either you drew something and people were like, "Oh, that's an elephant. An elephant's gray. It shouldn't be blue." Anybody ever had that experience? Okay, so my little story on that is, so it's foundation year, freshman year of college, and in foundation year, you have to take drawing, you have to take sculpture, you have to take all these different things, so you get a little scattering of everything, and then you choose what your major is. So I was in drawing class, and drawing has never really been my thing. So the teacher would always draw on your paper when you made a mistake. And it just bothered me. And I just kind of was like, and in my shaky voice, I'm 19 years old, I finally said to her, "Can you please draw it on another piece of paper and show me?" And she looked at me and she said, "I don't think you're good enough to do it on your own." And all these other people in the class felt the same way, but I was like, I can't do it anymore. So my voice was shaking, and I said, "I didn't ask you what you thought. I'm asking you to please do this." So 2 things I learned from that. One, I was very happy that she didn't get over on me on that. I kind of did use my voice. I did use my expression. And also, when I'm in the classroom teaching, I never draw on anybody's paper. I always draw to the side. And people say, "Draw on my paper." I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So the definition of story, it's a noun. It's an account or a recital of an event or a series of events, either true or fictitious. So we all have a story. Even when I was young, I would walk down the street and I would be cognizant and think, we all kind of have our little story going on. And whether you're in somebody's story for like 30 seconds or years or 5 minutes, All you have to do is kind of have a small conversation and you've kind of become a character in it. So I really believe that we choose by the words that we say to ourselves what role we're playing in our story. Are we a main character? Are we kind of like stepping to the side? And are we side characters and all that kind of stuff? We choose that. So some highlights, my unfolding story and my ability to express or not. So when I was young, late teens, I was really shy. And I blushed really bad. And my daughter was just recently looking at pictures and she was like, oh my God, really, it was that bad? I didn't know. So disclaimer, if my face does turn any colors, I'm not gonna have a heart attack. It just is kind of part of me. But when I was young, it just really stopped me from doing a lot of things because I couldn't express myself because this kind of told everything. Told if I was embarrassed, it told if I was mad, it told if I was anything. So being young, I was like, I'm just gonna bury myself. I had friends, but I just was really very aware of it. Then I moved on, 20s and 40s, got a handle on it. I was like, I know my direction. I found I really love teaching. So what if this happens anymore? I can face it. It's not gonna take me over. But still, there was always this underlying thing of, am I really good enough? Like, am I good enough at what I do? And then you get to your 50s and you're like, the hell with it, you know? Life is short and you got this. And there's still that other stuff, but it's not taking over as much. You know, you gain it, don't you? How many people in here are over 50? 50 or over? Yeah, do you feel that way? You kind of get to a point. So my new baby is my business. I am creative. And I've really been thinking this for a really long time. I started teaching all the way back in 1990, and I found myself saying this mantra, that creativity goes beyond a pencil and a paintbrush, and it's really to empower people to realize their strengths and their talents. And it comes in so many different forms. And my target group is really 40 plus, because I really feel like we get caught up in the routine of life, and we just kind of become zombies. And we really forget what inspires us, and we forget what our passions are. And it's really what my passion is to help people reignite it. So a teaching highlight moment for me was, and this is all the way back, it was back in, I think, 1996, and here we were living in New York for like 8 years. And I worked for this amazing organization called Studio on a School. They're on the Upper West Side. And they have this great program where artists go into schools and they go into shelters, lots of different kinds of scenarios, and you work with the kids, you work with the parents, and you work with the teachers. So what was great about it was you worked with different mediums, and the mediums you did for 6 weeks each, so it was very in-depth. So when you got to work with the kids, it was all about process and really diving into it. When you work with the parents, it was about them learning about what the kids did, and then also bonding with their kids. And then with the teachers, it was about teaching them how to incorporate art into the classroom in an easy way. So there's a whole point to this. So I was doing a residency in Brooklyn. It was a really tough area, and it was a kindergarten class, and it was a general ed and special ed co-taught class. And there was he was a yeller. So here he was this big man, and you could hear him down the hallway screaming at these little kids. So I was doing this one project which was about collage, and the way that it would go is I would present what the project was, it would be a hands-on time, and then we'd have a sharing or reflection time. And that was where the kid got to hold their work up and other people got to make a comment or ask a question. So we did the project, we get to the sharing, and this little boy who never spoke raised his hand that he wanted to share. So in my head, I'm like having a little party in my head. I'm just like, oh my God, he actually wants to talk. So what do you think this teacher did? Yeah. So he just looked at him and he goes, you want to talk? You never want to talk. Okay, fine, talk. So this little boy, his whole body language just completely turned in. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh my God, asshole. I mean, how could you do this to this little body? So I'm trying to think so I went over to him and I held up his work and I said, can anybody give him a compliment? I don't even remember his name. Can anybody give him a compliment? So we did that. And then as we were cleaning up, I bent down and I said to him, "What did you want to say?" And he whispered in my ear, "I like the color blue." And that has always resonated with me because I just thought, this little person was 5 years old. And all it takes is that person to say that thing. And if he doesn't, I don't even know, if he had those people to nurture him, okay, it affects how your story goes. So I just really hope that good happened for him. So taking the time for you creates connections. It creates connections to self. It gets you in touch with your strengths and weaknesses. It gives you more energy because you're inspired, because you're happier, because you're more passionate. You have stronger connections with your friends and family because you're happier, because you've actually taken that time for you. You have this expanded sense of time. You get in that zone of genius, where you lose kind of the sense of time because you're just good at something and you feel really good about it. You have this sense of freedom and permission to explore yourself and your problem solving because you make decisions and you're going to make mistakes in the process. We all go from A to Z. Nobody goes a straight line. So you might go curvy, you might go zigzag. However you get there, you're going to get there. You just decide how that's going to go. Or it's not in our control. Your mindset decides that. So I really believe that once we really get that into our head that we are worthy and own it, I figured it was a really good way to end on. So Martha Graham, she said this, she's a dancer, but I thought this tied it well together. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and you will be lost. So, final words, own your medium, own your expression, tell your story. Thank you.